The Pistons are the basketball champions of the world.
Detroit, it's time. It's playoff time, Detroit. Let's go to work.
Shout out Detroit. I got to buff up, you know what I'm saying? Detroit, I'm all the way in. Detroit Pistons, I'm all the way in. Let's do it.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Buffs On Podcast. We are the best POD in the 313. A lot to get to. We were just kind of discussing what we were going to go into on this pod, and there's a lot to get into. So first things first, this is our first time hopping on a podcast since the news of Cade Cunningham having a collapsed lung. Not the most ideal timing. We have no timetable on his return. Pistons are hopeful he can return for the playoffs, but again, that's probably at least a month without playing, and then he has to ramp back up to play competition, conditioning, which I'm guessing is going to be a little difficult when you're recovering from a collapsed lung. Wouldn't know. But we're also going to talk about what this team has looked like without Cade in these last two games against Washington and the Warriors. We're going to talk about what we need to see from this team going forward through now and through the end of the season. What could the playoffs look like? And, of course, we're going to talk about some of the outstanding play from Jalen Duren and others. So, Gabe, you're first on my screen. Your initial reactions to I guess not initial because it's been a couple days, but your first reactions to this Cade Cunningham news.
Terrible news, of course. But my first thought was, he's like, it's not the end of the season. I think, at least that's my maybe just optimism talking. But what it reminds me most of, I guess, in my recent memory is CJ McCollum getting the same type of injury, being a little bit older as well, a little bit less fit than Cade is. So I do think he will be back. Now, if he's going to be back in time to hit those All-NBA first team awards, I'm not so sure, but I think he will be back in the playoffs. And I think this team has proven, especially the teams that we're playing now, it's Mickey Mouse March, that until that, I think we can still lock up the first seed and get into the playoffs very grooved. But of course, it's a terrible injury, but at least it's one of those injuries where there's no like lasting effects. Once it's healed, it's healed. Stu's calf, on the other hand, calf injuries on big guys, it's a little bit worrying, especially since he missed last year. You're very adamant that we win that series with Stu, so hopefully it's not a repeat of that. But honestly, like, I think it might be one of those situations where, like, when Jokic went down, that the rest of the team kind of learns how to play without their primary creator. We saw it against two bad teams this week, so maybe against the Lakers and some other good competition later. I'm interested to see how the team responds, and especially how JD, as like the focal point guy of the offense, just kind of continues to dominate.
Yeah, it's going to be a interesting last few games here. Valley, your thoughts on Cade?
Thoughts on Cade. Initially, as every Piston fan, fell to my knees, was devastated, was ready to was ready to give up, man. I don't know what to say when you how do I say this, I don't want to say idolize the guy, but it might just be the perfect word for him. And then when you see a report that his lung, that it's not an ankle roll, it's not a bone bruise, it's not a
the
heart
risk
landing.
that we've seen before.
It's the lung, and like, to me, I put that in the same category of like blood clot issues in terms of like how serious you got to take these things and how scary they can be. And so for it to happen to Cade, the guy who's turned this franchise around, who's supposed to lead us, and I thoroughly still will lead us to, the championship one day. To see that was just the worst news anybody could have ever given to me that day. I don't know what could have made my day worse. But hearing that it's a reevaluation in 2 weeks, understand it's not going to be 2 weeks, but hearing that timeline and the optimism about him returning before the playoffs is incredible to me. That seems like an absolute best case scenario. Obviously, not that it happened, but Gabe, like you said, like we kind of stink without Cade, and we can't be a serious team with serious ambitions if this is how we play without Cade. So we get 15 games in what do you call it, Gabe? Blank March.
Mickey Mouse March.
Mickey Mouse March. Especially with like any team that's not in the run just full on trying to lose the game. Good run for us, for the guys to improve without Cade. Know how to get the spots, know how to get buckets without Cade. There's going to be minutes in the playoffs. We've seen it in big games already this season where Cade sits 5 minutes and a 10-point lead is now us trailing the game by four, or whatever your scenario may be. The point is, without Cade, we're pretty trash. And having now opportunity for guys to step up, not just in terms of scoring the ball, in terms of the ball handling, in particular, Danis Jenkins is a still hope for a Karis LeVert to have impact on this team. Will Marcus Sasser, if he gets healthy again, have that opportunity to grow into a potentially bigger role into the playoffs? I think there's a lot to come from this. Maybe even Asar Thompson taking a jump up. I'd love to talk about how freaky he was last game.
Mhm.
Um, all in all, extremely happy and thankful that it's not going to be a career-ending injury. When I saw the first report, I'm like, oh God, I don't know what this means, but that was my first worry was like, is he allowed to play basketball again? So happy that we have the timeline that we do and we have the opportunity to improve. Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, we've talked, I think, pretty sure since the beginning of time how this team looks drastically different without Cade Cunningham on the floor. We've seen a few games this season, and we're like, oh man, we can't wait for Cade to get back. Now we don't know when Cade is coming back, and it's going to be a real interesting stretch for this team. Like you guys have mentioned, we have played a couple of games without Cade, and we have looked okay in those stretches. So let's talk more about what the rest of this season and what the rest of this time looks like without Cade Cunningham on the floor. Valley, I pass it back over to you. What are some things that you have picked up on, or that you're going to look for while the Pistons are playing without Cade Cunningham?
Well, I just want to start first of all with just pure numbers. I was at my buddy's house watching the game last night, and so at the time we had 13 games left. Now we have 12, obviously, and we were wondering what the magic number was in terms of just locking in the first seed. Obviously, it would then be nine with the four-game advantage on Boston. It is now eight. Boston edging out the Grizzlies last night. 8 out of 12 to lock. That's if Boston wins the entire way through. You go 500 basketball, you're probably the first seed. So I think a pretty simple goal for me without Cade is to play 500 basketball, but I think that's a very achievable goal, and they can do more than that. But I kind of hinted at it earlier, an individual I'm looking for more for. Obviously, your Danis and your Karis LeVert, if they can have that opportunity to play, get reps in, maybe still contribute in the playoffs. I said it with our last pod with Michael on. I still think there will be a playoff game that goes down as the quote Danis Jenkins game. More hope for that a little bit after seeing the performance against the Warriors. Maybe he can get back kind of on track as to why we paid him. Um, I don't know. There's just a weird part of me that has not been thrown up when Karis LeVert's been on the court recently. Hopeful he could maybe still contribute in spurts in the playoffs. You know, JB's going to give him the chance. I'll let you guys go more in on them though, because I really want to highlight Asar Thompson. We saw him kind of playing the best ball of arguably his career before having that nasty ankle roll. And I'm just hopeful without Cade, the higher usage will benefit him. It might be harder without Cade, but I'm hoping that the higher usage will benefit him overall long term, both as a scorer, but also as that connecting playmaker, which we saw him take big strides in last time out. Um, Looking for more minutes of him. He played 23 minutes and had 7 steals against the Spurs.
That's
Like,
it.
like a triple double,
Yeah.
realistic in the future for him. He could put up some crazy stat lines. I'm extremely excited for him to have the task of guarding Luka Doncic. I assume he'll probably be the primary defender on him against the Lakers. Um, yeah, I'm looking for a star to really take the big step right now. I know we have some other ball handlers, but I think Cade going down, we almost looked to Asar, especially with the way he came back. We kind of lost. Spacing was ugly when he came back from that from that little injury. Um, can he find a way to not only be useful without Cade, but be productive on the offensive end of the basketball court while your elite playmaker is gone?
Very good points. Gabe, your initial thoughts on how the team had looked without their star player?
Again, some bad competition that we played these past games. Uh, that guy on the Warriors from the Netherlands, I forgot his name. Leons or something. He does not look like an NBA player, I'll tell you that. He's like super skinny. But anyway, Asar, he kind of he was driving me kind of crazy. Not this game, but the last game of his lack of inside finishing. I think it's still a problem. Like every time he's on a fast break, he doesn't get to the rim in an efficient way. He doesn't take like the two-step gather, get a nice layup. He kind of struggles and bobbles the ball a little bit. So his efficiency around the rim, finishing in a half court, for me is more of a concern than the playmaking. Just because I don't know, it just blows my mind where he does like these up and unders when realistically he should just go up and try to yam through the guy, or he like does these little like takes where he kind of steps weird and then he's like doing a little left hand floater from 3 feet rather than dunking the ball. So yeah, that's for me it's a little bit concerning. I think that's more of an off season thing. Hopefully he works with his twin and develops a little bit of a fluidity to his game. But if for me, the guy, it's actually Tobias Harris. You know, this guy's steady Eddie over here, and I think George mentioned it the past days. I think he's had like 5 assists now in back-to-back games, or maybe it was 3 or something. But he is noticeably moving the ball more. He's doing more pick and roll with JD. He's a good lob thrower. So him just kind of being the steadying force, and I'm gonna watch his assists, especially against the Lakers as well. He's gonna be trying to post up LeBron, post up Rui. So we'll see if matchups where he doesn't necessarily have the size advantage. JD, of course, like this guy's going to be huge against everybody we play. We played some easy guys coming up though. We have a pretty tough schedule. Just to round out March, we play the Lakers, the Hawks, who just won 11 straight before losing, the Pelicans, who are trying to win and healthy, the Wolves, who are without Anthony Edwards, I believe,
I'm not
and then
worried about no Pelicans.
and then the Thunder. So it's not the most elite teams, but it's a little run of good teams here where you have to come prepared every single time, and it's going to be fun to watch. Like you said, Luka just scored 100 points in back-to-back games. He's playing the Magic tonight, I think. So we'll see how he comes in. I think he might just cook a SAR, but we'll see.
Might be too big for him.
Too big for a SAR.
Yeah, and Ron.
Yeah, Loki be a good Tobias matchup. Would be a good Cade matchup, wouldn't it?
Any matchup would be a good Cade matchup. Man, I miss Cade already. It's only been 2 games. Gabe, you ran through the rest of March for the most part. I'm going to run through the rest of the season real quick. Rounding out March because we're on the second half of back-to-back after OKC. It's Toronto, then it's Minnesota, Philadelphia, Orlando, Milwaukee, Charlotte, Indiana. So, Valley, you touched on it. 500 ball the rest of the way. Very well possible. I don't know. Somebody got to step up. Last night was a little bit of a struggle. Marcus Sasser was out as well, so you really only had 1 to 2 ball handlers, realistically, and that was Karis LeVert and Dennis Jenkins. Jenkins with a phenomenal game, 27 and 8 yesterday. Karis LeVert, every time I start to think that, like, oh man, this is like where he turns the corner, he dribbles the ball off his foot and it goes out of bounds, and I'm just like, okay, maybe not. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, we've seen it all season. Next man up, who steps up now? Because this isn't just like, oh yeah, we just got to tough through in the next 3-4 games. No, we got to tough through. We don't know how much longer. So it's going to be a real thing. Gabe, you mentioned it. Jalen Duren has been pretty good. I still think it might just be a career thing. It might be something he really needs to focus on. Stretch bigs are always a problem for him. I felt like that was the same thing last night. I don't know how much the offense
against Porzingis.
Yeah, I felt like there were a few plays where like he would just like tag down and just would forget that the guy that he's guarding can actually shoot from like the logo. And
good thing Pajemski doesn't pass the ball.
Yeah, I think I texted it in the chat. I don't know if I said it to you guys or somebody else, but I have not been a fan of Pajemski. I watched like 3 or 4 Warriors games in a row a couple months ago, and last month I wasn't a fan of it. Reed Shepard also does not make good reads. Saw that when I was watching Houston.
We saw that. We saw that in the summer league.
Yeah. That too. It's going to be a really interesting stretch. Hopefully Kevin Huerter can turn it around. Marcus Sasser is going to get some actual playing time now.
Could I speak on Kevin Huerter real quick?
Absolutely.
this guy's a good basketball player. He can't shoot right now, but like
Mhm.
everything else, he is bouncy.
He's
He's
a lot
long.
more athletic than I thought he was.
Yeah, he's sneaky athletic and like he gets to the rim. He's like fluid. He can dribble. He's a pretty good defender as well. He's a good passer. He's just a good basketball player. So if
Yep.
that three does come around, I can see how he can be a really like like
Valuable.
a guy who pushes to start. He's not going to start, but a guy
Mm.
who's like pushing his way in there.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. And he's also playing for a contract for next season because Lord knows we need spacing and we only got one shooter right now. So it's gonna be really interesting. Valley, anything to add on Kevin Huerter, Marcus Sasser before we start looking at what the playoffs could look like?
Yeah, I like you said, Huerter's been like a huge surprise, um, in the weirdest way possible. His jumper's been horrible. Even though there's some weird times, there's some like get some random hope when he hits a couple of them, but jumper looks weird, but everything else looks genuinely great. Which gives me also a lot of optimism for the lineups with Huerter and Duncan Robinson, that they can overlap because Huerter can hold his own in the defensive end. Low-key, so can Duncan Robinson. We haven't mentioned his name every single game of the season. He's been great. Duncan doesn't really so valuable as to what he provides. But yeah, I'm hopeful that we can keep running Huerter, like you said. He's gonna keep getting runs here in March. We have a lot of basketball still to play for the last 10 days of March here. Hopefully that injury is just a one game thing. Hopefully he's back on Monday
Monday.
against the Lakers. First time not having like 3 games in 4 nights, I feel like. Jalen
Hmm.
Duren in the last 10 games, 22 points, 9 rebounds. This guy's going all NBA, and it's gonna hurt our pockets as a result. I feel like the more realistic this gets, we need to have a really serious conversation about this on the pod as to what those implications are, because he can obviously make a lot more money uh, as an all NBA player. Last thing I want to say, this is going back to Isaiah Stewart. Gabe, you mentioned the calf injury on a big guy. He's been dealing with that. I feel like his injuries have increased since he signed a footwear deal with the company Zero with an X, who have unique shoes. I'm pretty sure they're kind of like molded to the foot. Am I mistaken by that?
They have no undersole basically. It's like a barefoot shoe.
Okay, it's a barefoot shoe, and you got lower leg injuries. Stewart's agent needs to have a word with
No
him.
pointing fingers.
And I got one final analogy to make. I hope that this can be made sometimes. Gabe, when you were talking about Asar Thompson not going directly to the basket, asking him to be more direct, and again, this won't connect many people. Reminds me of watching Chelsea play. They just pass the ball backwards and do
Yeah,
nothing
and
or go
they do
for it.
nothing. Yeah.
Be more direct. Be more direct. Asar Thompson has the same issue. Go straight up. I would love to see him just go for a back scratcher, two-hand dunk over somebody because I think he could do it. I think he could have some of the nastiest posters in the league. And I really just want to see him try, man. I just want to see him try as hard as he can one game.
He doesn't go for him often, but when he does, he always gets stuffed. So
He goes, he
I
does,
don't.
but like I swear the most
It's
explosive
just
jump I see him have is when he goes to block a shot, like the first possession of the game last time out. I don't know who he swatted so hard against Golden State. Or was it Golden
Yeah, it
State?
was off the glass. I forget who it was.
I'm not even be mixing up my games now, but
that was the Dutch
gets
guy that he
gets
yammed.
so happy in the glass. You know how old that guy is, Gabe? Dutch guy?
Ooh, no.
26, not a youngin. All right, yeah, should we look ahead? Got 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, let's look ahead to the next couple of games. We got the Lakers, we got the Hawks, and I believe the Pelicans, something like that. Next two games are pretty big. Lakers and Hawks. What are you guys looking for? I'll start with you, Gabe, and then we'll finish it off with Valley.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, the Lakers are probably playing the best ball in the league right now. Maybe aside from OKC, they're kind of becoming my ticket to the NBA Finals in the Western Conference. I'm a big Luca. I think he's
Really?
probably. I mean, he's still like the
Really?
best. Yeah, one of the best players in the league. LeBron is kind of found his niche as not a guy who's on ball, but just a guy who's like in the middle of the court at all times and dominating. So I want to see if we can slow down the Lakers at all. And if they last time we played, we just like ran them out of the gym. We were way too tough for them. I want to see if that changed. Atlanta, I don't think is a problem. I think they just got lucky. And I think the Pelicans are pretty good. So I think we're gonna have to play pretty hard against those Pelicans.
Quick record prediction.
I'll go 2-1.
He'll go 2-1. Valley.
All at home, by the way. The good news
Mhm.
about Atlanta is they're now 6 games above 500, meaning they're mathematically guaranteed to lose the next 6 games.
Yeah.
So we'll win that one. But no, I'm really excited about the Laker game. I think that's going to be a really fascinating watch. Um, I think Jalen Duren is going to be the key. Him destroying, dominating is going to be the key to winning that game. I think because they have a lot of size. I'm thinking about Tobias Harris's consistency, but where does that come from when you're posting up maybe to LeBron James? It doesn't seem like the way to go at LeBron in 2026. Um, so we'll see. I think that's going to be an amazing game. But I've mentioned it. All eyes are going to be on the Luka Asar battle. I think that's just going to be fascinating with how good Luka has been playing recently. Um, I go 3-0 this week. I think the Hawks are a decent team, but we should still handle the Hawks.
Y'all a little more optimistic than me. I'm going 1-2 on this week.
Ooh.
I think this is going to be a real adjustment week for the Pistons on facing actual real hardcore competition without Cade Cunningham. Can we pick it up after this week? 100%. But I think this is going to be a very deep learning process. We're going to see what JD can do. We're going to see what Osar can do. Harris LeVert has to step up. Marcus Sasser has to be a little bit more efficient from two. I think I saw you shooting like mid-20s on twos, so let's not do that.
Mid-20s? Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more than a little bit
That's
more.
crazy.
Maybe a little bit. But he is shooting almost like 40% from deep or higher. So, and then Kevin Huerter is the reverse of that. He shoots like 60 from two and like 20 from deep. So let's progress to the mean for both of those guys. And it'll be an interesting week. Anything else from you guys before we get out of here? All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Cade Cunningham, get well soon, man. If you listen to the Buff Song podcast, please just, let us know. We'd actually kind of maybe appreciate it. Everyone else, we appreciate you guys listening too. And tune in next week when we see what the Pistons look like without Cade Cunningham after a good stretch. Until then, throw the Buffs on Detroit because the future is bright.